the London look. I thought it's the Rimmel look. Is it the London look? This is the London look. I am just so stupidly excited about hearing Kate Moss speak, let alone anything else. Oh. Joining it now, I thought if ever there was an opportune moment to wear my DC Universe beanie, surely today's got to be the day when the head of DC Films at Warner Brothers is testifying, eh? What do you think, guys? So how are we all? Good evening, Jordan Stevenson, Shane Cox, Coconut Island, Jordan Stevenson. I've already said that, haven't I? Leanne Reeson, Karen Taylor. How are we all? How are we all? Shall we? It's what a day! What a day! I can't remember who said that, but I'm quoting someone. What a day! It's got to be done. It's got to be done, hasn't it? Yeah, it's got to be done. I and Natasha. Oh, Natasha. We've got Natasha to thank for this. I'm just going to shut up for a minute.
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
You have to.
Most remarkable.
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
Johnny's going to get some binoculars out. Quite something. Thank you so much for that, Natasha. Watch every night, but never comment. Elizabeth Scrivens, thank you very much. Well, I see your statement. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Coconut Island. Clodagh Egan, Nora Doyle, Shonster Migmon. Shall we just see it once more? I mean, I can never tire of it. The way Mr. Chew looks.
You have to.
Mr. Chew, I tell you what, Mr. Chew, a huge part of me wishes. No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say because that could be someone will get the wrong end of the stick. But what I was about to say was, I bet he's a great guy to go down the pub with, don't you, Mr. Chew? Who reckons Mr. Chew's good fun to go for a pint with? Which is bad news for Johnny. The last thing Johnny needs to do is go for a pint. I tell you what, yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Mr. Chew looked like he'd been burning the candle at both ends, maybe celebrating a bit much, maybe because he'd got Kate Moss, maybe he was out clubbing in Fairfax, Virginia. Maybe he was doing a bit of a kind of, Kate Moss-esque dance. Anyway, it's day 21 of the trial. It was a weird one today, wasn't it? It was like one of those hangovers that isn't right at the front of your head right at the beginning of the day, but kind of is a creeper. It's like a boomerang. You're sort of plodding along around your day thinking, yeah, okay, and then it just gets you. Today was a creeper. In the court. It kind of started awkwardly. We had Johnny Depp's counsel trying to chuck out Amber Heard's counterclaim and lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. So got a bit of argy-bargy right at the front there. I tell you, my heart went out to one person today. Went out to one person at the beginning and the end of the day, and I thought she must have the patience of a saint, and it's this woman. That's not a great photo of her, but hasn't she got a lovely smile? Hasn't the judge got there's something about her demeanor when she sort of smiles sort of beneficently on the jury as they wander in. She's like, yeah, I want you to look after me, judge. Don't judge me, but just look after me. She's so nice. And she kind of, you can see she gets fretful. Like at the end, they were doing some administrative reading of stuff out and it was all sounding terrible. But she said to Amber Heard's team right at the end of the day today, she said, please tell me you're not reading everything in that book. She seemed really tired today. I mean, she's seen some shit. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. She's been there for every step of the way. Well, so is Johnny, although, how much his gummy bears are possibly helping him, God only knows. She hasn't seemed happy, has she, the last few days, Faye? I agree. She seems like a lovely person, one dog and a bag. Is that a doggy bag? Anyway, so as I say, the day started. We got Rottenborn came out of his kennel, didn't he? Out came the Out came the Rottenborn. It's like he's literally like the dog do you remember in Tom and Jerry, where they'd be having their fight around the house and Jerry would be running into his mouse hole and Tom would be getting his tail slammed and then have to run off to a hill to scream not to wake up the baby and come back. And then there was the dog, wasn't there, in the garden, the dog that they were always trying to avoid. That's Rottenborn. It's like there's nothing. You hear nothing. You hear nothing. And then suddenly, it's the Rottenborn. And so the Rottenborn came out. He tried to chew up and spit him out. You'd understand that if you know that Johnny Depp's solicitor's called Mr. Chew. But in fact, Mr. Chew tried to chew Rottenborn and hurl him up. It was quite a moment. So basically, seriously, Johnny Depp's team tried to throw out Amber's claim of defamation. And it got very tense. It got very angry. Mr. Chew went hard in, saying this is all a load of old nonsense. You know, if she's suing Johnny because of Waldman, whenever you hear the name Waldman, just to give you a handle, Waldman is the attorney that was operating for Johnny Depp after he'd left Amber Heard, and he dropped a number of kind of stories into the Daily Mail that ignited the idea that Amber Heard had created a hoax around the abuse and around some of the incidents that happened at the apartments in LA and in Australia and everything, that basically they concocted an elaborate hoax and an elaborate plan. So basically, they were on a technicality they were trying to throw out, because the thing is, Johnny's suing her for defamation, but she's counter-suing him for defamation. So in a sense, you've got Attack of the Titans as two, though one much larger sort of profile than Amber, however you look at it. Johnny obviously much older and more successful, but essentially both performers kind of careers had already, this hasn't helped their careers, and their careers were perhaps already on the sort of downward sort of cycle. So, they're both trying to push away this idea, or trying to promote this idea, that the other one has destroyed their career. And both sides are kind of saying, no, your career is already on the slide. It's not because of Johnny's, it's not because of Johnny's, chap who wrote all the stuff in the press and all that kind of stuff. Strong argument from Chew that they tried to, he made a strong point, and basically trying to get it thrown out. Our poor old judge here had to sit there and go, yeah, all right, okay. Basically, Johnny Depp's team were trying to say, look, they got a really, really good solicitor who we all heard testify to make sure that it got round the idea of it being identifiably talking about Johnny. And he was trying to make the point, which is kind of a clever point. They employed someone to make sure it wouldn't defame. And he's trying to say that it's defamatory because they tried to get someone to make it not defame. Got a little bit, my head got a little bit funny there. Anyway, long and the short of it was, the judge was having none of it. She said, claim to strike is denied. But this was after old Chew, Rottenborn had come out like a terrier. And Chew just went, nah, not having any of it. Sod you. And Chew said, Amber Heard's playing games. Just like she's been playing games all along, they're playing games now. Look at them. Do you remember the last time they tried to throw her case out? Said, she's the abuser. That's Mr. Chew did this. She's the abuser. Chew and Rottenborn. Sir Chew and Lord Rottenborn. So that was what happened at the beginning of the day. What also happened at the beginning of the day was Johnny arrived. Johnny arrived, and he talked to the crowds in a Pirates of the Caribbean voice. Sadly, we don't have the clip. Hey, my hearties. I mean, I know he does it a bit better than that. Oh, and also one of the other stories that broke this morning, Dr. Spiegel. Should we remind ourselves of Dr. Spiegel?
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
Unbelievable.
You have to.
Dr. Spiegel overnight. There's a website that kind of gives scores or something, or is where you can complain about psychiatrists. Anyway, his practice has been absolutely overwhelmed with negative reviews by Johnny Depp fans. A form of psychiatric trolling, I guess, is what you would say there. So that was one of the stories. The other big story. Do you want to hear the big story that landed just as everything was summing up? There's a big story that landed. I'm sure some of you might already know this. Should we just get him off? We'll have another look at old Dr. Spiegel later, or Dr. Emmett Brown. We'll have a look at him later. Yeah. So the noise his mouth is making is so disturbing to my ears. It's only me. So the thing, the story that has broken just shortly after summing up and the end of the day is that TMZ, you know, the kind of gossip, chat, showbiz news website, the kind of journalistic, I don't know, but the kind of showbiz online media outlet, TMZ. There was talk, do you remember, about who handed them the tape of Johnny having an altercation with a kitchen cabinet? Do you remember that? And then pouring himself a mega pint. Yeah, because there was the suggestion that it might have been the person called Io. Was his name Io? IOU or something like that. There was a suggestion. Anyway, so TMZ have had to have had to kind of bring forward an emergency action to stop one of their former employees from testifying on behalf of Heard because of journalistic privilege. They don't want their sources to be revealed, and there's the risk. So this could be. So this is another aspect. Tomorrow's going to be very exciting because Kate Moss is testifying. But not only that, we could have this TMZ person. If TMZ are unsuccessful in stopping them testifying, we could also find out tomorrow, who handed the tape to TMZ. Now, wouldn't it be something if it was actually Amber? Just a thought. Amber's a lot of Amber's best friends are ex-best friends, aren't they? It's weird. Amber was snarling. Was she? I didn't really get a shot of her. I think depending on what coverage you're watching, you don't get all the shots, do you? So yeah, those are the stories. And now, yesterday, I'm kind of jumping to the end, and I'm sort of telling things backwards. But I'm going to go back to the beginning. If you haven't, subscribe right now, because for the next 48 hours, it's going to be bloody dramatic as we cover this story. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes, just walking down the street singing, ooh da dilly dilly dum dilly do, very very hot, and I'm gonna do a wee da do. Yeah, you're right there.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Do you know there's 3 things in this marriage?
What's that?
Me, you, and the Johnny Depp case.
I know. Just get yourself upstairs, darling. Go on. Yeah, you're tired. Go on. Head up.
Episode 5 of The Staircase, guys. So good.
Oh yeah, no, I need to catch up. I haven't been catching up with it. You've given me time to look at my notes. That's really handy. Thank you very much. Bye, sweetie. See you soon. She's going to go and drink a mega pint of vodka or a mega pint of gin. What's her freaking Jennifer Howell? Jennifer Howell. Hang on. What did I say yesterday? We've got to get Jennifer Howell to testify. The friend, the former friend, or the former friend of Amber Heard's sister. What happened there? 1 minute she was talking, the next minute she was gone. That was weird. Anyway, we'll get to that. I don't quite know what happened there, but we got Jennifer Howell, and then we didn't really get Jennifer Howell. Though she does refer to the very... Anyway. So, beginning of the day, who was the first person to testify? Walter Hamada, pronounce his name correctly, Hamada, Warner Brothers, head of DC. And what an unpleasant process. I have to say, my heart went out. Did anyone else's heart go? I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to ask you if your heart went out. You're all very excited about Kate Moss coming tomorrow. Okay, so let me ask the question. I don't like to tell you what the question is before I've written it, because then there isn't the thrill of working out what the fuck I'm trying to write. So what am I going to try and write? Did you Amber and he there's the question. Now you kind of know where we're going. Anyway, so the president of DC Films, was anyone else staggered and surprised that he actually testified? It's like someone from Star Wars testifying. I thought it was bizarre. Who's that? Someone there just said, I was so bored with today's trial. It was putting me to... Susan, there were great sway. That's why you need to come here, babe. You need to come here and just have it all digested for you. And even boring stretches. Do you know what I do? Just don't talk about it. Yeah, just ignore it. It's great. It's like a way of digesting and avoiding all the shit. President of DC, I've just asked the question, did you feel sorry for Amber as DC Films effectively said she had no chemistry with Jason Momoa. So not pleasant. So a lot of discussion, you know, Amber's people are trying to say it's Johnny's fault that she's lost Aquaman 2 and that her whole career trajectory hasn't emulated Jason Momoa's, Zendaya's, Ana de Armas's, and Gal Gadot's. Okay, that was what they established yesterday. She would have been in the absolute stratosphere if it wasn't for Johnny Depp. Head of DC says not at all. There was no chemistry, so we weren't really even. We were even thinking about recasting her for Aquaman 2. That must have been hard. That must have been hard. Was her role reduced? No. Was the film built around it? So he made a point that the film Aquaman is actually built around Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa. It's a buddy film. It's a buddy film. It's not a Amber Heard love story, although obviously she's the love interest. He said that absolutely nothing in their negotiations or dealings with Amber had anything was informed in any way, shape, or form by the Johnny Depp trial or Waldman's comments. I wonder how Waldman feels. Johnny Depp's attorney, who said all this stuff in the Daily Mail. He said all this stuff. He came on. He couldn't answer anything because basically Chu said, "Shut the fuck up. Don't answer anything." It was asked 75 questions, didn't answer anything. And it all pivots around him. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Because in a sense, that's Amber's thing that she's got. He said there were delays to Aquaman 2 due to recasting possibilities, and they had huge creative concerns about Amber Heard's chemistry. All of this is pointed towards the fact that she was clearly being demoted, regardless of the Johnny Depp story. Doreen Marshall, it's ghastly. I don't even want to it feels trite to even mention it, but a terrible catastrophe has happened in Texas tonight. It's on the news. It's just awful. So he talked a lot about the creative concerns that they had at Warner Brothers. Did the Johnny Depp dispute have any impact on Warner Brothers or DC Films' decision-making around Amber? He said absolutely none from our end. He said it took a lot of effort to create the chemistry you could see. And then Elaine Burkhart, or whatever her name is, Elaine, she's a bit annoying, Elaine, isn't she? I mean, she's the kind of person who you meet at a party and she does go on. She goes on. And I reckon she'd probably always drop a bit of pineapple down her front and you'd never know how to say, look, you've got a bit of pineapple on your front, Elaine. Elaine, turn your microphone on. She's never got a fucking microphone on. I thought the judge was going to leap over and headbutt her. But Elaine thought she was being a bit smart. Did anyone sense that? Elaine got a bit smart here. But isn't constructing fabricated warmth, she didn't say it like that because she's American, isn't fabricating warmth what filmmaking is about? She was trying to suggest that every single on-screen relationship you ever see lacks charisma, warmth, or chemistry. And it's all down to the editors, musicians, score writers, sound effects editors. We can only do so much. You can only do if there's no chemistry, there's no chemistry. But like you said, that's our job. We tried to get it right. Then they had a text from the director of Aquaman 2, Amber Heard, and this made me laugh because Elaine was like, but the director sent a text to Amber saying she was brilliant, saying she was liked. I was like, the amount of texts we have all sent in our industry to people on telly saying they're great when they're shit. It's true. You just lie. You're not going to tell them they're rubbish, are you? Of course you're not. So James Wan, the director, was just like, fucking I can't tell the truth. I just, no, you were loved. You Amber. It's awful, wasn't it? Awful, Amber. No, they loved you. What was the score? 1 out of 500. You were loved. And then at the end, what is Elaine's problem with fucking documents? Is there a document that says, no, there isn't a document, Elaine. Hollywood doesn't operate on documents, darling. Oh. Do you know what I mean? Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So then we had this. Oh, so hang on. I haven't shown him. I haven't used my image. There he is. That's Johnny Depp leaning over just to squeeze one out. And there's what's his name? Mr. Hamada. Walter Hamada. I feel like Nanny Di in this hat, actually. Yeah, so that's the head of DC Films. I still can't quite believe he testified. Then we went to the plastic surgeon of the hands, the guy who sorted out Johnny's hand when he treated Johnny's hand, when Johnny, had his hand incapacitated or evulsified. Was it evulsified by a mega? I mean, we're not dealing with small alcohol consumption here. We're dealing with mega pints, and we're dealing with gallon-sized bottles of vodka. And I've bought one of those in a pharmacy, in a Dwayne Reed in America, and you literally, it's like an old-fashioned Western bottle. And if that's what she threw, it wouldn't have necessarily broke it anyway. So they had the plastic surgeon who dealt with his hand. They talked a lot about the splint. They talked a lot about the cast. He talked a lot about whether he would find it difficult to hit someone. Didn't you feel the question that one was begging for Johnny's team to ask him was, did you think that the bottle of vodka caused the injury? Didn't you think, wasn't that curiously absent from... I mean, they could have, if he'd have said, yeah, then, it's Shane Cox. Amber's team must be sick of all the writing Amber does. What does she write? What is she writing? Hi, Susan Cooper. He was pointless, I thought. I thought he was a potentially really good witness. And I just thought, well, we're not looking at him either. What's wrong with me? There he is. And look, as if to illustrate the point, he operates on hands. And look at his hands. They're big, aren't they? They're big and they're movable, which is good. It's what you want in a hand plastic surgery hand surgeon, isn't it? Dr. Culber, was that his name? So there was much discussion made of, he was sort of, the suggestion by Johnny's team was he wouldn't have been able to grab someone. He wouldn't have been able to throw someone around. And then Rottenborn came back out and said, but he had another arm, which is kind of true. And he was like, but could he have done the damage with his other arm? And this guy had said, well, yes, he could. Could the cast of splint have been taken off and then the damage be done? I mean, I think the suggestion being here that, the injuries that I think Amber Heard claimed, or Amber's sister claimed to see him, do with the splint and the cast on, would have been much more difficult to achieve. She's writing all the pledges she makes to her witnesses, says Melanie S. We're talking about Amber, are we? Okay, well, look, whilst you're talking about Amber, I'm going to give you a little photo. There you are. That's her looking at you guys. Yeah, I'm writing about you. Then they brought back in Richard Marx. Oh, what do we think of Richard Marx? I've discovered Richard Marx. Let me find him. You'll know which one he is. This guy, this dude. I'm a deal maker. I'm a deal maker, not a deal breaker. I'm a deal maker. I do deals. And every time he's asked what deals he's done, no, he doesn't really know, does he? Has anyone noticed that? You're kind of like, yeah, what deals have you done? Pinocchio? What? What deals have you done any superhero films? Lion King. I mean, this guy was brought in. So what these people are called, guys, in the parlance of court, is rebuttal witnesses. These people have been brought in to rubbish and reveal the latent weaknesses in a lot of what Amber Heard's people have said. And this was the beginning of it, really. First two, this guy came in and basically said of the woman last night, what was her name? What was the executive from last night? That he was, what's her name? Catherine? No, what was her name? What was the name of the woman? The executive woman from the night before. Miss Arnold. Miss Arnold. This guy, so he was brought in, Richard Marx was brought in to destroy Miss Arnold. But more Catherine Arnold, that's it. Listen to him back. This guy is Jack Nicholson in The Shining at the point that he starts to really lose his marbles. Listen to his voice. I closed my eyes at one point and it could be Jack Nicholson walking up the stairs at the hotel with an axe. So this guy's good. He's straight, straight talking. He shoots from the hip. It's just that when you ask him for finer details, he's kind of trapped in sort of deals of the 70s and 80s. I thought he was going to say, yeah, I'm a deal maker. I did the Waltons or something like that. He says that Catherine, what was her name? what did you say she was? Catherine Arnold. He said that Catherine Arnold's predictions from yesterday were ridiculous. He said that the best predictor of earnings, future earnings, is past earnings. He slammed the executive from yesterday. He slammed her. He said she was. I like this analogy. He said that Kate Arnold was engaging in playing Jenga without the bottom pieces of the game. And if you've ever done that, it's really hard and it really hurts your fingertips. A bit like the injury that Johnny got, actually. I like him, Katie Cora. I'm not knocking him. I like him. It's just that whenever they kind of get into, well, what deals have you done? He kind of goes a bit wishy-washy. Here's Johnny. Oh my God. Tara Little. Here's Johnny. Never quite understood why he was called Johnny when he said all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Cross-examination. Who was it? Was it? I don't know if it was Rottenborn, was it? I think it was the other. It was the young whippersnapper. The young whippersnapper. Who, have you noticed that the younger lawyer on Amber's side is trying to emulate Rottenborn? Have you noticed his intonation and everything? He does that thing where he sort of says, look at page 3. And he goes, which page? Page 3. He says things like, it's such a self-evident truth, you total twat. Have you noticed how they make everyone feel stupid? And at least Johnny's team, well, and of course Camille, can be forceful, but they don't actually try and make people feel stupid. Red rum, Shane Cox, which was written on a wall in blood. Was Johnny there? Oh my God, there's some strange psychic connection going on. Jack Nicholson is Richard Marx. The scrawled messages. Has anyone read what was written on the mirrors? They're written on the mirror. When you look at red rum in a mirror, it says murder. Oh my shitting Christ. Guys, we've stumbled across something. Don't know what. Oh, it's Amber Turds. Cross-examination. The young wannabe Rottenborn. So let's call him not Rottenborn, but sort of, no, I won't say that. That's not politically correct. Breakthrough movie. Can you? Yeah, he made a big point of saying, can you identify any other actress who didn't go on to become a breakthrough movie star from a superhero film? He couldn't answer, and I was sat there racking my brain, and I thought, I can't answer either. It's really annoying, isn't it? When you get, it's like, don't you notice every now and then they ask these questions? They ask these questions, sort of on the spot questions, like when you're at school and you're like, you know the answer, but you wet yourself. I know the answer. Who played Batman? I made a note here. Amber Heard's lawyer's very bitter. Then redirect. Then there was a bit of chat about this guy's hit projects that weren't particularly big hits. Then we went to Michael Spindler, economics damages expert. He once again said that Miss Arnold, Kate Arnold, the executive from last night, who, bless her, she really ran out of steam towards the end, didn't she? She was fumbling at her face. She was glugging her water. She was fading fast. She was fading fast. And this chap, not very interesting. Quick notes. He basically said that she had zero underlying support for her assessment of what Amber Heard's lost potential earnings could have been. He said she did not adequately support her predictions, that they weren't reasonable, and you need to be historic, not predictive. That was pretty much him. Then we got back to Johnny Depp had a cigarette break. Right, I tell you what I'd quite like right now is a cigarette break. Every now and then there's just that moment where you just sort of think, I'd like a break too. Wouldn't you like a break? So yeah, Johnny went out for a cigarette break, waved at the fans. There he is. And he's had enough. It's like, yeah, I'm all right. Do you think his suit's a bit tight? There's his notebook. It doesn't go anywhere without his notebook, does he? It's like a comfort blanket. Well, let's just for shits and giggles.
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
You have to.
And so next up was Mr. Banya. So again, they brought out all of Johnny's previous witnesses. They've come back out. This guy, guys like this intrigue me. He looks sedate. He looks mild-mannered. He looks just like, you'd have a very polite conversation with him reaching over to get a roll at a buffet or something like that, and you probably stumble and you go, "Oh, I'm sorry," and you go, "That's okay." You go around there. This guy, he's made of steel. He's taking no shit, this guy. Anyway, so this guy shat all over Mr. Computer Man. Do you remember Mr. Computer Man? Schnell. Mr. Schnell. We all quite liked him, Mr. Schnell, didn't we? The man who was so intelligent he didn't need to go to college. Do you remember? They went, "Don't come to our college. Go over there." And it's just like the most intelligent man in the world. This guy pooped all over Mr. Schnell's testimony, saying he provided no correlation in his this guy was the kind of rebuttal to the social media analytics. Mr. Schnell was saying that there was a direct correlation between terrible hashtags like Amber Turd and all that kind of stuff and the impact on Amber Heard's profile, earning potential, and Q score, and all that kind of stuff. This guy said, "What a load of old nonsense." There was no evidence of a correlation between tweets and Walden, because they kept going back to Johnny's attorney, Walden, his comments. Amber Heard's team are trying to align all of the terrible social media coverage to when Walden's Daily Mail comments came out. And this guy kind of proved with various kind of graphs that kind of made me feel a bit intimidated that that really it wasn't the case. He analyzed Q scores. Q scores are like they're like the quality scores of how popular celebrities are. When they have QI scores, when you make programs for broadcasters, they have QI feedback. So that it's probably changed now, but you used to be able to just you'd get feedback from all your audience and you'd get a QI score for your show. So your ratings, the number of people watching your show is one thing, but then you get a sort of quality rating of what you've made, which is kind of, okay, well, you didn't get huge numbers here, but actually it was really liked by those who watched it. It's a little bit like that. This is a kind of quality score. And Banya, this chap, looked at Amber Heard's Q scores and discovered that her scores were some of the lowest at certain points when they should have been higher, suggesting again that her low Q scores are perhaps a consequence of people just not liking her, or perhaps DC just not finding that she's got chemistry. So there was a huge amount of emphasis being put on Amber today, as there has been on Johnny for previous days. That actually, Johnny, you know, your time in the sun is over. You know, Captain Jack Sparrow has had his moment, and without that, and without your moment in Fantastic Beasts, what else have you got? And there is that argument. And I think my personal opinion is the jury could well find in favor slightly for both of them and award neither of them anywhere near the amount that they're seeking in damages, because they are now way past that prime. You could argue maybe they've got together, Johnny and Amber, and said, "Look, let's cook this up and we could both earn more than we'll get more from this than we would if we did 2 Pirates of the Caribbeans back to back." It's just a thought. But it could be a thought, couldn't it? And then, so that was Mr. Banya. I like Mr. Banya. I had a bit of time for him. I liked him. You mustn't underestimate Mr. Banya. Whereas I think we all overestimated this chap, and certainly overestimated his lips.
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
There's got to be a DC villain that Johnny can play. I was wondering that. I was wondering whether DC films are thinking, yeah, let's drag Johnny our way. We'll have a bit of Johnny, if you know what I mean. Now, for me, the greatest moment of the day. Was this the greatest moment for anyone else? This chap. It was like a spotlight came into this room and just went, bah! It was like a peaceful, mild-mannered man from a completely different universe sort of stepped in his Crocs and his sandals into the courtroom, utterly unfazed. I've just kind of you felt like he'd literally just got off his bike. He'd cycled up from, I don't know, from Silicon Valley, jumped up from Joshua Tree Park, wasn't it? National Park. He just arrived. "All right, dudes. Yeah, how's it going?" "Yeah, I know, absolutely. Yeah, I saw a tweet." "Oh, yeah, no. Surprise witness." This was a surprise witness. This guy rocks up basically on his bike. He'd seen he'd seen a text or a tweet. Someone had texted him to say that Hicksville you know, the really hippie kind of let's all take mushrooms and clap round the fireplace venue in Joshua Tree Park, is it? I want to go. I so want to go. That's terrible. I want to take mushrooms too. No, I didn't mean that. This guy set up Hicksville. This guy was there the night that allegedly Amber and a young lady got a little bit MDMA close up to each other. Kissy kissy. Johnny got jealous and trashed the trailer that this guy had lovingly put together because it was his passion to set up a sort of art commune of various trailers. I loved his story. I thought he was lovely. I thought he was absolutely lovely. Faye Gargaro, Robert Downey Jr. is talking about getting Johnny on the film he's working on. Robert Downey Jr., who is an absolute beacon of sobriety, needs to have a word in Johnny's ear and say, look what happened for me when I finally kicked it into the long grass. So anyway, so this chap turned up. There was a huge, ferocious attempt. Elaine was angry. She was an angry elf. She was a really angry elf, Elaine. She did what? As if in the middle of the night, Mr. Knight has shown up. Who is this guy? Who is this little upstart? Who is this chap who doesn't care? And he sat down and he had to prove to both the judge and to Elaine that he, you know, yeah, take me or leave me. I saw someone texted me, said it was mentioned. I had a bit of a tweet argument with someone about the trial. And I thought, yeah, I need to say it wasn't like that. And he tweeted to someone called the Umbrella Guy. We'll get to that. Didn't you think the Umbrella Guy exchange was funny? So this guy tweeted that basically that's not as it happened. You know, the way in which the trial has reported Hicksville, you know, that Amber, Johnny was jealous and wrecked the place and angry. He said it wasn't like that. This guy said it wasn't like that. It was the other way around. And then his testimony became really interesting. He talked about how, I'm going to just talk you through what this guy said, because I thought for me, this was the richest moment of the day. I don't know if anyone else felt that. I thought this was really, yeah, Shelley Silver, absolutely. You've homed in on the phrase I'm getting to. They arrived and Johnny Depp got lost. He laughed about that. Johnny laughs about the right things. Johnny Depp was super excited because he's a kid. He's a big kid. Of course he was excited. These are Airstream kind of trailers and it's fireplace and mushrooms. What not to like? He was very complimentary to this guy, Johnny. He said Amber Heard was, this chap, Mr. Nice, said Amber Heard was very quiet. She didn't say much on the tour as he walked them around. They rented the entire trailer park just for themselves. He remembers Miss Heard's sister being there and the security guard. Do you remember? I can't remember what the name of the security guard was that testified earlier that he was there. He said that Johnny Depp was super curious about everything. Him and one of his work colleagues, Johnny Depp and one of this guy's work colleagues, you know, they communed and kind of bonded over music and guitar, and they talked about music. But Amber Heard interjected, and he said she seemed annoyed. She seemed really annoyed. She seemed really annoyed that Johnny was happy. I'm not actually saying this, but let's just run with, like, let's pretend we're just Team Johnny completely. So she was jealous because he was having a nice time and he'd gone somewhere which he was really excited about. And the spotlight was off her and the spotlight was on someone else. And he was being really gregarious and chatty with other people. And he was indulging in his passions, but they're passions that don't include her. So she got jealous. I think that's kind of what he was saying. She interjected. She seemed annoyed. He said he spent cumulatively about 45 minutes to an hour with them across the night. He was asked, did he see Johnny Depp interact with other people? He said yes. He said he was really chatting with people. He was chatting with his security guard mainly. See, the image I have of Johnny, do you get this, guys? He's shy. He's quite shy. Who thinks Johnny's shy? I'm going to put it up here. Let's ask the question. None of you felt sorry. Well, a few of you felt sorry for Amber. Is Johnny shy? Because you know what? I'm a big believer that one of the reasons a huge number of people develop extreme addiction and alcohol dependency is something as simple as shyness. You don't need to get introverted. You don't need to get all technical and psychoanalytical about it. Oh, I've just added an option. I don't need to add an option. Oh no, how do I remove the option? Oh, go. Go. Hang on. There you go. There's the poll. I've just popped a poll up. See if you tell me if you think he's shy. I think he's shy. And if you imagine being shy and then thrown into the spotlight like that, it's the recipe for disaster. You end up like Richard E. Grant in With Nail and I. He says that Mr. Knight, Mr. Knight without a K. So he's not a knight of the round table. He's a man of the night. Amber Heard, he says she was having a nice time. Mr. Knight said he was speaking with Jack Daniels. I've done it again. I was speaking with Johnny Depp, and Amber Heard said, I want to talk. She seemed upset. And he then said, and did you notice that the judge, I was a bit annoyed with the judge on this. Mr. Knight then said, she started yelling, Amber did, and I had to remove myself because I hate trauma due to historic experiences of abuse. Can you believe that? And then the judge said, strike that, although the jury will have heard it. So she was monstrous by this guy's accounts. He described Johnny Depp as cowering and seeming afraid. He seemed afraid and cowering, as you mentioned earlier, Shelley. And the reason I want to mention this, has anyone seen the clip of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard on the red carpet, I think for the Mordecai premiere in Japan? And he's shuffling around next to her and she's whispering in his ear, and he looks so put upon and so sort of fidgety and so sort of like he's kind of moving all over the place. Wonder Woman, I think Edward Scissorhands was a lot like Johnny Depp's nature. Entirely agree. I think the tragedy of Johnny Depp's fame is his shine. I think he's an intensely shy individual. So so he was cowering. And I just made a note here. Jack Daniels, Johnny Depp was. If I ever say Jack Daniels, just know I mean Johnny Depp. He was the same on the red carpet. He then said, Mr. Knight, that Johnny Depp became a lot more quiet as the night went on. He was more quiet. Johnny Depp seemed less sharp. At the end of the night, he heard a commotion. This guy, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were having a discussion. The evening ended at 3 a.m. and the next morning, he discovered that yes, the trailer was damaged. But contrary to what everyone else has said, which was like, we've all been left with the impression it was totally wrecked beyond recognition, beyond something, beyond my ability to speak. But this guy said that just one light fitting was knocked out, and he basically bought a new one from eBay, and he said that they always went dramatically different. Then came the chat. Then in cross-examination, Elaine was let loose, and Elaine was pent up. Elaine. I mean, Rottenborn was sitting next to her, going, "Get him, get him, get him." And Elaine was like, "Don't worry. I'm going to ask if there are any documents." She came out by saying, "You're a big fan of Johnny Depp's, aren't you?" And this guy said, "No, I'm not." The entire courtroom fell on the floor laughing. Did you hear them? Go back and check it out. They all roar with laughter. Even Johnny found it really funny. She claimed that he seized the moment to be part of the trial. He was like, I couldn't be less fucking interested. I just wanted to say what the truth was. She then tried to draw a connection between the fact that the guy that this guy, Mr. Knight, had the remonstration with on Twitter was a guy called the Umbrella Guy. And the Umbrella Guy is one of Johnny Depp's leading kind of Johnny Depp accounts. And so I think she was trying to draw a kind of connection there. She also said, you follow a Johnny Depp fan Twitter account. He said, no, I don't. So it was really weird. They were obviously rapidly finding out this material about him to try and hurl at him. And some of it was ill thought through. But there was this really funny moment where, where's this tense woman talks to the, oh yeah. She then said, that this guy, the Umbrella Guy, who seemed to be sort of somehow, she seized upon the Umbrella Guy. This guy, Mr. Knight, was just roaring with laughter. The Umbrella Guy, who the fuck's the Umbrella Guy? It just happened to be the person he'd replied to, whose tweet he'd replied to. She then said, but Mr. Waldman, Johnny's attorney, was also using the Umbrella Guy to spread and disseminate terrible information about Amber Heard. And this guy said, and she said, did you know that Waldman talks to the Umbrella Guy? And Mr. Knight goes, what? Sounds like he's got schizophrenia. I mean, there are moments in this trial where you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, what was the bit about the string vest? Do you wear a string vest? He roared with laughter. Thank you for reminding me of that, Laurel Nichols. Anyway, it was very funny. And this guy was very cool. He just came in. She said to him, you also posted something really nasty about Elon Musk, calling him a bit of a cock. And he went, yeah, I did. He just owned it. He just owned it. So yeah, I liked Mr. Knight. I liked Mr. Knight. I really liked Mr. Knight. I really like him. Anyway, so that was him. What should we show you now? Well, sorry guys, just got to do it. Well, the next stage they brought in Dr. Shaw.
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
Now,
You have to.
Dr. Shaw. He looked the part. He's basically a rebuttal psychiatrist to rebut this chap, Mr. Spiegel, Dr. Spiegel. And he was very boring, Mr. Shaw. He was very boring, but he was very thorough. And he basically said that this chap violated something called the Goldwater Rule. I'm not going to bore you to death by going into the Goldwater Rule, but essentially, by and large, it means psychiatrists shouldn't diagnose from their armchairs without having really fully assessed the individual. And he claimed that that's pretty much precisely what this guy did with Johnny Depp. He said that his evidence, he was using the smallest items of behavioral sort of evidence to suggest quite serious narcissistic traits and things like that. And so really, I thought this guy was boring, that they brought in to counter this guy. He was boring, but he was solid, and he blocked out factually scientific answers. Absolutely, Christos. He blocked out Dr. Spiegel. I know who I'd rather watch. I think Dr. Spiegel is fascinating and entertaining and bizarre in a sort of Back to the Future rubbery head sort of way. But this guy that they brought in, I haven't got a photograph of him. Dr. Shaw was an incredibly good rebuttal witness, and I think will have successfully. I think the jury probably thought this guy was off his head on mushrooms anyway. This guy has taken some drugs for sure. And basically, Mr. Shaw, who was British American, a Brit in America, kind of added a certain sort. It was quite nice to hear the old English accent in there, wasn't it? He kind of essentially is dry, I put here quite dry, but not tore Spiegel's testimony to pieces. And he said that the risk factors of intimate personal violence. Is it personal violence? Yeah. Mentioned by Spiegel bear no relationship to this trial. And then, just at the point, I thought, fucking hell, we can't do any more today. Everyone's exhausted. They bring in Jennifer Howell. And then this, for me, was the oddest part of the day. I mean, you know, Amber had had enough. She'd got something in her eye. She found it. Oh, look, that's what's happening tomorrow. Johnny, he caught going to the loo at one point. What are you looking at? And this woman, Jennifer Howell, the woman that we've all been wanting for, we've all been waiting for, the woman who could testify in direct opposition to the testimony that Amber Heard's sister gave us of Johnny hitting Amber's sister and hitting Amber and all this kind of shit. This woman basically pissed all over that. It started with one clip that then cut out. Did you know that? I wanted Jennifer. We did want Jennifer, Mickey Moo. So she answered one question, then it cut, and then it came back up, and she was in a different location. It's like Doctor Who. She talked about meeting Amber Heard on Pineapple Express. She said she'd never seen Johnny Depp intoxicated. It's a weird question, this. It's like, it's not an achievement, is it? If someone says, if someone had said to you years ago, have you ever seen Mark drunk? And they said no, I'd have been like, doesn't mean I wasn't. Okay, so she didn't see him intoxicated. She never saw Johnny Depp injure her. She really firmly said she had neither loyalty to Johnny Depp or Amber Heard. It was all getting really interesting. She talked about a check that she received, I think, from Elon Musk. And then she talked about an email that we didn't read or hear, but she said this about. Oh, I've got it here. She said this about. She said, I loved someone. Howell's video testimony, she discussed an email that she sent to Miss Henriquez, which is Amber's sister. I loved someone who I knew was doing something very wrong, and I knew that they're doing it because they're trying to protect their sister, and I'm trying to protect her, and I'm just trying to get her to wake up and do the right thing, which is to tell the truth. Well, we all know what she's talking about. But like you say, Maggie Moo, did the jury get a full written deposition? You need the full story. I mean, I'd have thought, for me, that's a crucial aspect of Johnny Depp's case, if you ask me. And then we had a very brief discussion with the Children's Hospital, which is, I think, one of the charities that Amber Heard hasn't sent her money to, or didn't send her money to. That kind of got lost under the. It was quite boring. It didn't really. It kind of echoed what had been said before. And then, of course, I saw this TMZ story land regarding this one. Now, I think this TMZ story could be big. If TMZ are unsuccessful, the broadcaster, the showbiz broadcaster, are unsuccessful at blocking a former employee from testifying, we could be in for an intriguing moment again tomorrow, in that we could have someone essentially pop up and say, Amber Heard gave me the tape, or IO gave me the tape, or someone that we've seen testify gave me the tape. So, you know, so you can see how in today it was kind of, at first I was like, what a fucking boring day this has been. But actually, it got more and more interesting. And I have to say, I think the highlight of the day for me, well, and look, what have we got coming tomorrow? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow, guys? Tell us what you think. What do you think is actually going to happen? What is she going to say? Unsolved cases and news. TMZ. I think TMZ, that'll be interesting. Looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah, I am too. I'm going to be out of London, so I'm going to have to be listening on my ear. Then the woman in the mask, no one told her she couldn't catch COVID over Zoom NH. Yeah, that was the woman at the Children's Hospital. Yeah, no, it was kind of nothing inviting about that. You could barely see her, barely hear her, and didn't really know what she was talking about. Everything was like smudged. Anyway, so we got this to look forward to tomorrow. I think TMZ is the next thing. But for me, the absolute hero of the day, for me, the absolute moment was this chap, Mr. Knight. I don't know why I want to call him Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget, I'm an hour ahead, but we'll be watching, says Susan Cooper. Linda Lovell. Kate will say he's a sweetheart. Love Kate, but she's not the brightest, Melanie S. Interesting you should say that. I've got this strange feeling that cross-examination could trip her up quite seismically. She's not, yeah. I mean, I've heard that. She's not, I mean, she's lovely and she's sweet, but she's going to have her wits about her. She's going to have her wits about her. But I love this guy. This guy just rode in on a bicycle, happened to be passing the courthouse and went, oh, you know what? I've got an opinion on that. Came in, shared it. So, guys, keep your thoughts coming in. Share your comments underneath. Join me again. We'll be live again tomorrow night. I think it will definitely be 11 o'clock tomorrow night, because the judge was very insistent. We're going to make up for that lost half hour. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all of your clarifications.